my mast. I see it.
Ooh, this doesn't look so good. We just got back to the boat. It's freezing cold. The cover on the boat is shredded. First reaction upon coming on board the boat was like, oh my gosh, someone's been in here. I have heard that in the old days of France, a convicted criminal could be pardoned of his crimes if he pled temporary insanity induced by the incessant winds of the Mistral. Now that I've seen the Mistral in action, I can understand why. We just arrived back to Port-Saint-Louis-du-Rhône, the coastal French town at the mouth of the Rhône River where we stored Magic Carpet for the winter. This region is one of the most violently affected by the Mistral, an infamous wind which blows cold air from the north that funnels down the Rhône Valley, increasing in speed before bursting out onto the Mediterranean and leaving white water in its wake. The Mistral can blow for days. 30 knots is a forgiving speed, but 70 knots is just as possible. This winter, while we worked in Switzerland, Magic Carpet weathered 8 months of visits from the Mistral. But now that we have returned to our beautiful boat, it's time to take you with us as we discover what has changed during our absence. Our journey home to Magic Carpet began on a Sunday with this man, Urs.
He should shave one day, huh? Doesn't he?
Urs is a fantastic sailor and friend. This is the man behind Bodensee Sailing. If you want to go sailing on the Bodensee, call Urs, who took 3 days off from his sailing school business just to help us move all of our things down to Magic Carpet. We arrived late in the evening. It was cold and rainy, and under the wet darkness, things didn't look too great. We just got back to the boat. It's freezing cold. It's dark. It's raining. The boat is all wet outside, and our boat cover is ripped because there's been quite a few storms here while we've been gone. But we were greeted by a really lovely face who we're going to introduce you to later. And our batteries are full. Not everything is too bad. Our first reaction upon coming on board the boat was like, oh my gosh, someone's been in here, because we left all the cupboards open and everything just to air out, but we're both just tired and
just gave a messy impression.
Yeah, it gave us the impression.
Messy impression. And yeah, it's incredible. More about this tomorrow, but leaving a boat here in such a windy place. I mean, I've just left the hatch open this much to air it out, and in the front I've left a board with a little net so it's aired out, but dust comes out everywhere. Yeah. I swipe my finger over the table and it looks like it's an attic
dirty.
Where it's been sitting for 15 years and
sorry,
it's been a few months.
This is the taxi driver. Can I collect my fare, please?
Oh my god.
That's a long way from Switzerland.
Urs wants to go to sleep. He's like, shut up with your vlogging.
Hey, the solar powered lamp is still charged.
Okay, more from us tomorrow.
So actually, for being such a windy, stormy place, and the place where nobody puts up a tarp on purpose, this system has proven to be quite good. I've put the spinnaker pole from mast to the bow pulpit so it supports the tarp a bit more, and then I ran all those cords on the inside, up and down, and the same thing after extending to the end of the boat with the boom, but then a rope on the inside, so I created kind of a skeleton, and I'm surprised. I mean, the tarp is pretty much sacrificed because where the wind got to it, it still ripped it, but this is not too bad. There is over 60 knot storms frequently, almost every 2 weeks, if not every week, so this is actually not too bad. Also, we got an email when we were in Switzerland, and it was Maxime who had recognized our boat standing here, and he had seen that the tarp was ripped, so he was very kind to come up here and fix it. So without his help, the tarp would be even more shredded. So thanks, Maxime. Also, I want to show you how incredibly crazy it is when you leave a boat here. It is so windy. It looks like the boat was standing here for 10 years, and this was just one winter season. I left the hatch open, a tiny gap, and we'll show you after inside the boat. When you run a finger across the surface, there is dust piled up as if it was there for 10 years. And also the look from it outside. At first glance, things look pretty sad. There is rust, there is salt, there is dust everywhere. But altogether, things have survived pretty well, and we'll start uncovering and look into it into more detail right now.
So we cleaned and organized and inspected and moved things around and got reacquainted with our boat. The worries of the previous night disappeared as soon as the sun came out, and all it took was some soap to make Magic Carpet look almost new again.
Jour numéro 1. So far, the day has been incredibly satisfying. Maya's cleaning the interior, and I took off on the deck. I've been working with the kitchen sponge. This is an ancient recipe. Teak has to be rubbed. But oh boy, is it satisfying. So it is some work, but I actually wanted to show you a little bit of how nice it comes out. The other part is also the boat is fairly new. It's a 2018 model, as you know. No, but let's say refurbished at that point. So of course the teak was sanded, and it's up to newer conditions. Still, after one season sailing, it has become gray, and actually it is incredible, but just with this kitchen sponge, if I go over it, I can get it back to a shiny teak color, just as if it was oiled. As you can see, there's little spots on here, and it's not just dirt that comes off if I wash it away, but it actually is, it's getting kind of moldy. So let me get to it with the sponge, and what I do most of the times, if I can, is I scrub sideways. Your teak will live longer. If you do it this way, then you're putting those grooves into the wood, which, I mean, to be honest, in some places I cannot avoid it, so I just scrub it. This is not very harsh, but wherever you can, across the grain is better. And then I'll start scrubbing it a little bit, wash it away with some water, and not only I get rid of the black dots, but also of the gray shimmer. The gray shimmer will come back very, very quick, and I don't mind that at all. But still, right now when you get the wood orange colored and shiny again, that is pretty satisfying.
Spent all day inside the boat cleaning. Good thing that I was working as a professional boat cleaner in Switzerland over the winter, so I know exactly what I'm doing, and it's getting very clean indeed. So tomorrow we finish cleaning. The first day of work ended peacefully. We had a clean boat, we didn't find any nasty surprises, and we were invited to dinner by Maxime. Maxime, you may recall from the beginning of the video, is a subscriber and also a bit of a guardian angel. He keeps his boat in the same boatyard, and emailed us over the winter with photos of our boat cover, even going as far as fixing it for us many times. We also met a Swedish couple who are working on their catamaran. Slowly, we are building a boatyard family, and it feels wonderful. We went to bed that night filled with hope and filled with happiness. So I'm going to start with continuing to clean out the kitchen. I got some groceries yesterday, so just making things a little bit more livable. What's on your agenda for today?
Coming up with a plan.
Aladino's a bit of a slow starter in the morning, hey?
Yeah. No, in general. I was just focusing on work in Switzerland so far, and I didn't really come up with a plan. I have a list where I've written down all the things, but I didn't come up with a sequence or what's best to start with. So I'll guess I'll just continue organizing a bit and cleaning, and then I'll come up with a plan.
Our priorities at the moment, because we're living on the boat, well, my priorities are getting the stove working because we've got a bit of maintenance to do with that, and also to put some water filters on our tank. That's something we didn't have last season, and we used bottled water. My environmental conscience absolutely cannot allow us to do that again, so we ordered some filters, but we have to figure out if they even work with the flow pressure that we have from our foot pump. So
Yeah.
things to figure out.
Some about that, and I maybe start with the stove then, because we have a kerosene, I believe.
Yeah.
We have a kerosene stove, and there is some kerosene outside sometimes, so I will do some sniffling to find any leaks, and if there are, I'll try to fix those.
Well, as it turns out, we found multiple leaks in the stove, and the quest to fix those leaks has expanded into such epic proportions that I'll make an entirely separate episode about that. I'll leave you in suspense for now. Will we ever eat hot food again? Only time will tell. Until then, salads are good for us anyway.
Slowly, the work process is becoming clearer. I don't quite have a plan yet, but we've been working very well. Here behind me, just next to the boat, that's all the stuff that I've emptied out of the cockpit lockers and other spaces, because I will have to varnish, I will have to reseal, rebed, check for cracks, check for moisture in the wood. So I mean, you gotta make all those spaces accessible and available. And also I want to minimize things we have on the boat. I mean, obviously when we set out last season, I took many things with me which still have to be installed and to complete the boat. It looks pretty, but it's not complete yet. I've also taken the front hatch off because it will need to be revarnished, but I'll show you more on that soon. I've walked around the boat marking all the little nicks and dents that are in the wood, because we'll need to revarnish, and it's very important not to get moisture in the wood, which happened now, so we dry it and then we varnish. But that's also for another chapter. For now it was just preparation. This crack, for example, doesn't look like much, but that's what you have to watch out for when you have a window, or at least a wooden cabin top or hole. Because a little crack, moisture goes in, you don't see it, spreads over, and then you got the fun. I thwarted the little crack, which makes our whole cabin top one mold.
I'm proud of you.
And I will kill it. Also the tarp banged on the boat quite heavily, so we got some dents and scratches in the paint. We'll repaint. Many things like that. But I'm slowly getting an idea of what to do, so we can work on those things.
Doing boat work is always a bit stressful and chaotic because it always adds up to more than you initially think it's going to be. And one thing which I find brings so much peace of mind to me is just having little pieces of nice living spaces throughout the boat, which is not always super easy because usually when you're doing boat work, you've got things pulled apart and you've got tools spread everywhere and you've got cleaning products spread everywhere. But always at the end of the day, I just like to tidy up a little bit. It's something small, but it just helps me to be calm and present and work my best during the day when I know that I can relax in a nice environment in the evening. So I'm happy I've got some fresh groceries and we've got the speakers set up so we can have some music in the evenings. Our fridge is on, so we've got some nice food and cold drinks. Still don't have a stove, which is too bad, but that's okay. We're still gonna make a nice meal without a stove. It's time to get creative with the charcuterie board for dinner. This is the no stove dinner.
Awesome.
You hungry?
Yeah. Gotta say I'm quite happy about being the responsible one for not having a working stove for a dinner like this.
And of course, there's always room for dessert. Something that I absolutely love about France is in the grocery stores, they have these little pots of creme brulee and they come in these glass pots. And then there's these little sugar things that you put on top. And then it's not mandatory, but I find it better if you, oops, there goes a rubber band. If you take a lighter and then you kind of torch the top and then it gets all caramelly. And we have creme brulee from the grocery store. Bon appetit!
Bon appetit! Look at that happy beak.
Port Saint Louis has a unique energy. It's a place you pass through, like a bus station far in the outskirts of a city. There is an excitement and a tiredness from coming and going. There is a restlessness which, in sad cases, turns into resignation. "How long are you here for?" one sailor often asks another. "Only 2 more weeks, I hope," comes the reply. Dreams are launched, delayed, and halted here, and all of this is stated quite plainly by the Mistral, which makes it unpleasant to stay, but sometimes impossible to leave. Yet, in our first few days back here, I found the good sides of Port Saint Louis to be stronger than the bad. This is mostly due to Maxime, our subscriber, who has also acted as a bit of a guardian angel with an endless supply of tools, knowledge, and generosity. There is an excitement in the air here, and somehow it's even more potent when that excitement can thrive, even when surrounded by bleak surroundings. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.